Hello friends and fellow bakers, it's Chef Tom from chefinstructortom.com. Welcome back to the channel. I do appreciate you stopping by. Today we're going to make some muffins. We're back in the kitchen this week and I think you're going to really enjoy these muffins. They are easy to make and there should be something that you could just make easy and make them at the drop of a hat, even if you don't have a hat. You will need a light touch, however. Too much gluten development here and you will get a very, very tough muffin. I would not recommend overmixing at all. As with any other baked item, mise en place, or everything in its place, is in full force here. You'll want to be prepared with your ingredients, tools, and have the oven preheated. Give your muffin tin a good spray with pan spray. Let's get in the kitchen. Preheat your oven to 375. So let's have a look at the mise en place for this. And you remember back when I said I didn't like melted butter in baked goods? Well, I would say that muffins are the one exception to that rule. And here we have some melted butter. We also have some vegetable oil. Another form of fat, of course, is in the sour cream, but that's going to add some dairy and some acidity to the whole product as well. Of course, we've got the flour, the sugar, baking powder, baking soda, salt, my favorite vanilla there, eggs, and you can't see the blueberries yet. I think I'll show you those in a little bit, but right now they're frozen. They're frozen until we're ready to mix the dough. Now I got my blueberries out of the freezer because I wanted to toss them a little bit of the dry ingredients. Just take a little pinch of the dry, sprinkle it over there. Don't take too much. Just give it a little toss, and then they go right back in the freezer. Just by coating these guys with a little bit of flour, we are making them so they don't sink. That's really important. Back in the freezer. Let's think about what happens in a muffin. You need to think about structure. We need some structure in muffins, so we have flour and eggs. They're going to provide also some fat in the yolk of the egg. Fat also comes from the vegetable oil, the butter, the sour cream. The sour cream also provides some dairy, which aids in rise and browning. The sour cream also provides some acid, which makes the baking soda work. That's really, really important. You need the acid to work with the baking soda to produce the CO2 gas. And then the blueberries provide the flavoring, of course, and some nice mouthfeel. I think we're ready to go. Now you'll need some tools for the muffins, of course. We've got 2 stainless steel bowls, one for the dry and one for the wet. We also have a spatula, of course, for mixing up the batter. And you can do it all by hand very easily. You've got a muffin tin there, and I chose the big muffin tin today. Why they call it a muffin tin, I don't know. It's not made out of tin, it's aluminum. You might want to have a towel or two. You're going to need a sifter and some parchment. We're going to sift right onto the parchment in just a minute. And if you want to use a scoop, this is also a good thing to have on hand too. The scoop is good for portioning out into the muffin. If you could choose a spoon or a spatula, it works great too. But have all your tools ready to go before you start. So we'll give our muffin tin a spray with some pan spray here. And you could always use butter and flour if you wanted to, but it's so much easier to do it this way. You're going to want to sift your dry ingredients. In this case, I got my parchment with my sifter here, and this is the all-purpose flour. I've got the baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And you know I love kosher salt, but in this case, iodized small grain salt is going to be the best way to go on this one. Just going to give that a little sift. Then that goes back in my stainless steel bowl. Now I can describe muffin making in 3 sentences. Pretty much you're going to combine the dry, combine the wet and dry. It's as simple as that. So let's do that first. We already have our dry ingredients combined there. I'm going to take my fat here. This is the melted butter. We'll take the sour cream. Take the oil. and our eggs, and we'll whisk those up first. And we almost really kind of want to emulsify this first, because that way we get a really nice smooth muffin batter. And notice how that's all come together, very homogenized now. To that we can add our vanilla. And yes, I am using the vanilla paste again. It's so worth it, especially if you're going to have a really good muffin. It makes it a special muffin. Then we add our sugar in there, and you're saying, wait a second, is that a liquid ingredient or is that a dry ingredient? And some people would look at it as a liquid ingredient. The reason I say a dry ingredient, I should say, a lot of people would say it's a dry ingredient because it's dry to the hands, but it does add a lot of moisture to your muffins. So we're going to put it in with the liquid ingredients. So what do we have here? We have dry and liquid together. I mean, they're separate at this point. So what do we have here? We have the dry, sifted. We've got the emulsified wet ingredients. I think we're ready to combine. What are we missing? That's right, the blueberries. Let me go get those. So now I have my blueberries that are coated with flour out of the freezer. They're ready to go. I've got my wet ingredients, my dry ingredients ready to go. You know, I had an instructor years ago who always had this little mantra he would say when he made muffins. He said, up and down, not all around. And what he meant was, you just push all the flour into the liquid and you don't really develop a lot of gluten. You're just kind of basically very, very gently mixing it. I'll show what I'm talking about. So he would kind of cut it in like this. And that seems to work pretty good for me too. I find this really works well. And resist the temptation to kind of go around the bowl. And what's going to happen if you go around the bowl, if you're going to develop a lot of gluten. So we just want to kind of bring in some flour there from the side. And this shouldn't take more than a minute or so to do. When it's still kind of ragged looking there, put your blueberries in there. And this is where we have to work kind of quickly, because we want to cut those blueberries right into the batter. And the batter gets really thick because those blueberries are frozen, obviously. And you'll notice I never once stirred it. What you don't want to have is any blue batter. We're trying to avoid the blue batter. So I think we're ready to go. So our pan is already sprayed. We're going to give a little scoop here. One scoop ought to do us pretty well for these guys. And you notice there's a little bit of dry left there. That's all right. We don't want to overmix these guys at all. Put a little extra batter in there. Now I'm a fan of a little higher muffin, let's say, so I'm going to put all this batter in there. If you like a little lower muffin, don't put it all in. Set a time for 20 minutes. Your oven may go a little faster or slower, but 20 minutes is generally the length of time for baking these muffins. We're going to take these out of the oven and check for doneness. Make sure that they are brown on top, of course. and we're going to check it with a skewer and put the skewer in at about a 45-degree angle to get the maximum check on those doneness. It should come out clean, and it looks like it is. That's good. And then you're all set to go. So here they are. They've cooled for about 15 minutes now. And like I said, if you use muffin cups, then you can take them right out. I would still let them cool off a little bit before you eat them, because hot muffins are good, but warm muffins are even better. But like I said, if I want to let them cool for a little bit, they should come right out of the muffin pan very easily. And you'll notice they come out. If you had tried this when it was still hot, the likelihood of them breaking is quite high. Be careful. They're still quite warm and quite enjoyable to eat while they are warm. Take a look at that. Just beautiful. Let's open it up. Oh man, that looks good. Blueberries nicely distributed all throughout. No blue batter. Nice and good looking batter there. Let's have a taste, shall we? Man. You can taste the sour cream in there too. Really nice and soft mouthfeel. Terrific blueberries. Frozen blueberries really the best too. You could use fresh, but frozen's way more consistent. Well, the muffins came out great. I really love these a lot, and they have such a great mouthfeel. You can enjoy them with a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, whatever that might be. They should be light and airy and melt in your mouth. Things you should be looking for is that mouthfeel, that softness, a little bit of acidity from the sour cream. It also helps in the softness as well. I think you'll taste all the flavors in this one. I hope we were able to show how easy it is to make great muffins this week. It does take a little bit of practice and a gentle touch, but don't overmix the batter. That's the most important thing to remember. Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you like my channel, and I'll see you right back here next week for more baking tips. Thanks for joining me. Happy baking.